There we go. Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Unexpected stream. Well, not unexpected. I just wasn't intending on streaming it. I was going to record it and have it play before Friday, but figured this way is a bit easier. So, last session we had Vonnir and Thaevan proceed to climb the stairs and came out of the stairs aboard the good ship Bloody Wake, which sounds like a terrible name for a good ship, but it's a good ship nonetheless. They fought off a very intense pirate battle with another pirate ship, and Thaevan decided to blow up some of its weaponry, which was quite impressive. And the crew, along with the help of Vonnir and Thaevan, managed to repel the incoming pirates. We had Thaevan try and slap Vonnir a few times, and Vonnir get rather stressed out about Thaevan trying to clean a potato with Vonnir's beard. We had our two plucky adventurers, I guess you'd call them, share a meal and then get the shits with each other and go sleep in hammocks. Thaevan, for whatever reason, decided to sleep dead set in the middle. Actually, no, I remember right. Thaevan was feeling very green and was getting seasick, so he decided to sleep in the middle of the ship, where Vonnir tried to sleep as physically far away from Thaevan as possible. And that's actually where we come back into it. So, Nikki, I'll get you to jump channel and I'll drag you back in once we're good to go.
Alrighty.
Alright, so, Vonnir. You, good sir, as soon as you lay your head down in the hammock, you have a splitting headache and your vision goes dark. You find that you are unable to move or speak. An unreasonable panic begins to take hold of you. You begin to hyperventilate just as your vision starts to clear. Looking around with your clearing but blurry eyes, you notice very quickly that you are not laying in a hammock on the ship, the Bloodwake, but rather you are kneeling before your sister at the foot of stairs leading to the altar where you know just moments before your sister lay dead upon. Looking your vision walks from her toes along the exposed part of her leg before her tattered and stained night shift obscures your view. Your eyes continuing upwards, you find the hole left by the ballista bolt you remember you loosed in anger. The memory flashes before you like lightning. The sight of that jagged hole, you having lost your temper when your sister announced she was going to marry a tiefling. You lunged at the mounted ballista to shoot it at the tiefling. You remember feeling regret and anger at yourself for being so bigoted even as you sought to end the life of the tiefling. You remember the shock of seeing your sister standing between the ballista and her lover, her arms outstretched and a defiant look that would have done you proud if it wasn't tinged with anguish. You remember looking down and seeing the bolt lodged in the ground hundreds of feet away, the view of the bolt being disrupted as the tunnel view is severed by the falling tiefling's body and by your sister's. Snapping back to kneeling at your sister's feet, you look up at your sister's face, a rotting and withering visage with eyes made of blue-green crackling flames, her once lustrous red hair patchy and falling out. She looks down at you with a sneer. She opens her mouth, and you see insects scuttle back deeper into her throat from the flickering torchlight. Her voice, where once the throaty and warm bellows of a typical dwarven woman, rakes out and fills the room with the sounds of hundreds of voices, all speaking as one, but clearly much more than that. Ah, Vonnir, my brother, if only you knew what you were doing when you began this rite. If only you could have known you would fall so far from grace. Someone so impulsive was prime for returning me to the prime material plane. But alas, Hammerline is no more. Her cold and decomposing hand caresses the side of your face, sending shivers down your spine. You look down at your hands, covered in the blood of all those innocents that you lured into the ritual chamber and slaughtered to bring your sister back. You look back at those burning eyes as the dead hand of your sister's reanimated corpse grabs the side of your beard with unnatural strength. Roll a Constitution save for me. Yeah, con save. Okay, so with the 6, part of your face tears away with the beard. You're looking at her hand. You see the bloody mess, the ragged beard remnants. You are mine, bound to me as your sister, as is your sister, and every innocent you slaughtered to bring me back. For I am Legion, lich of many deaths, and you will die to serve me as I see fit. Poor Vonnir, who gave up everything, including the love of your god, to raise your sister and atone for a moment of anger. Oh yes, I know everything from those bound to me. I know of your anger. I know of the unborn child that grows in undeath within the womb of this host. Truly, this is a gift to me. But now it is time for you to give me the last 2 things you have to give: your free will and your life. Looking at the hand still clutching the remains of your beard, you see it dissolve into dust as the hand glows with a dark energy, itching closer to your face. Your eyes instantly focus on the darkness, which consumes all you can see, paralyzed with fear as your eyes see nothing but the black of eternity. Your ears hear no sound, and seemingly out of nowhere, you see a black silhouette of a person, immense beyond reckoning, and made of purple and black haze. Rising their arms, the being says, "Welcome to my realm, Vonnir. I am Ojit, and the decisions that have led you here are decisive indeed. Let us hope that you can grow from your chance in my tower. You have questions, I know, but I will not answer them until you are ready to hear them." The being zooms forward, the purple and black static passing over you, and you find yourself awake screaming. You reach up to the side of your face where your beard was torn and find the very faint scarring around that area that was torn free from Legion. The beard still covering it, but the scar remains. You are covered in sweat and know that beyond all belief and all that has happened is true. So, Thaevan, rather, roll a perception check for me. Okay, yeah, you wake with a start as the sound of Vonnir's screaming voice rips through the hull of the ship.
I rush over to him and try to wake him up if he's still asleep.
He's awake.
What is it? What happened?
His eyes just like wide open and he's just kind of unresponsive.
A bunch of the other sailors also start to crowd around. They're all sort of heading around and sort of like looking down from this sort of area here, like talking amongst themselves, trying to work out what's going on.
Well, don't just stand there. Get the man some food and ale. Can't you see he's hungry?
One of them pipes up. You remember seeing that one earlier on. This is the one that prepared a lot of the food. He goes, "Oh, yes, right away, sir, right away." And he races off upstairs.
And the rest of you, give him some breathing space. Shove off you. No one likes a prying eye.
They kind of like mutter amongst themselves, and one of them says, "Oh, I think the captain needs to hear about this. Not often you get woken from a blood curdle and scream like that." And he races off as well, but the rest sort of back away. They're still keeping close enough that they can potentially get a snippet of what's said, or whatever else, but for the most part, they do give some space.
I'm guessing you've had a vision.
He just looks away from you.
I know the feeling. I'll give you your space, and I walk back over to my bed and pop back in and go to sleep.
All right. So, as you hop back into the hammock, the captain comes down, all bleary-eyed, and sort of calls out and goes, "All right, what's this? At this time of night, who's causing the ruckus?"
It was just a night terror, nothing to worry about.
He looks at the sailor that got him and stares him down with a very withering gaze. Says, "You woke me up for a night terror." The sailor pipes up and says, "Oh, it's more than that. Like, sailors, we get night terrors from time to time, but this was way more intense. I've never heard a dwarf scream like that."
It was a night terror, he just needs some food and ale and it'll be right as rain.
And
Yeah,
as
Vonnir just ignores everyone and starts walking outside. He needs fresh air.
as Thaevan said, he just needs some food and ale. The other sailor comes back with a couple of apples and a mug of ale. And are you walking past him, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's sort of like looking at you and sort of like following you as like turning as you walk past him, holding the apples and the ale out, kind of expectantly, but
I think he looks at the food and he almost pukes.
The sailor, seeing you seem a bit green, sort of pipes up and goes, "Oh, this man doesn't need no ale. He needs some space, needs some air." And he sort of like just plonks everything down on a table and sort of like tries to head towards you, like as if to help you up. Do you accept his help?
Nah, Vonnir will go up by himself.
So, what, like you push him away, or like...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, he just goes, "Oh, well, can't be helped. Food and ale's there if you want it, on your way back down." And he goes and crawls into one of the hammocks. The captain, as you walk out, he sort of keeps an eye on you, and but as you head upstairs, the captain heads on over to Thaevan and sort of where Thaevan's laying down, and says, "Does that happen often?" He's speaking quite quietly.
Well, it's happened to a couple of members of our party, but it's the first time for him.
I guess, of what you've said, you've come across the first vision of Ojit.
I've heard that name before.
Yes, well, get used to it. They come around every now and then, and some of the men handle it, some of them don't. Some of what the men see changes them. But
What can you tell me about it, Ojit?
can't really tell you too much, to be honest. There's every time a vision or a memory floats across, and Ojit's there, that tall, impossibly tall, purple haze of a man. I'm assuming it's a man. Yeah, shows you things. Some people just aren't ready to see them. I don't think some people, I don't think would ever be ready to see them.
Well, I've seen some things, that's for sure.
It's different for everyone. Nothing's the same. like we've been plucked from someplace and brought here without any memory. Some people have, had visions from Majid many times. Some people have never had one before. It's almost like something needs to happen. Can't tell you too much, but yeah.
Can you tell me whether or not you've been able to determine whether they're real or fake?
Well, what do you think?
I'd rather the latter, to be honest.
I think a lot of people would rather the latter. But they seem as real as anything. Possibly more real, even.
Yes, well, I think we should just give Vonnir some space and just rest up, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Get some rest. We'll be pulling into port at this rate probably by just before sunset tomorrow. And with that, he sort of like pats the post that the hammock's tied off to and turns around and heads upstairs. As he gets to the door over here, he yells out and goes, "The next one of you that wakes me up is swimming home." And he heads on upstairs. Alright, Vonnir, so you head on up to, I'm guessing, the main deck?
Yeah, Geo's is just gonna be freaking thinking about absorbing all that and probably just stay up for the rest of the night.
Alright, no worries. So, okay. So as you get out on the deck, are you paying any attention to your surroundings, or are you completely catatonic?
Catatonic.
Okay, no worries. So it is dark. There are stars out. The moon is out. You can see the reflection of the moon on the water. The waves aren't too big. They're pretty easy going waves, but yeah. It looks like it's roughly about 11 o'clock. And yeah, so you stay on up there. The night pretty much goes pretty easily. There's the man in the crow's nest doesn't see anything. Neither do any of the spotters that are around the ship keeping an eye out. It's a clear night. No fog has rolled in, so it's pretty easy to see around, and no one sees any other ships. But yeah, with that, the morning comes around. Thaevan, you'll get a full rest. Vonnir, you won't.
Yeah, I did.
And you'll end up with a point of exhaustion. So.
Like, you get one. You can stay up with amount of days as you've got con.
This is more stemming from the intensity of the vision and not resting from that. That's where that's stemming from, more than anything else.
Okay.
So yeah, your body is quite tired and quite drained, but for the most part, you're however you are. So Vonnir would probably be the first one out of you two to realize that the sun starts to come up, and as the sun does come up, first mate Davos comes out and sees you standing out on deck. I'm guessing you're just kind of like looking out over the water, or are you sitting down, or?
Yeah, looking out the water.
Okay. Yeah, he sees you out on deck, and he comes on over I'm guessing you're probably mid-ship, so I'll drag you up there. He sees you and sort of heads on over and, big grin on his face and pipes up and says, "Ha! My dwarf friend. I hope you got a good rest. That was, quite the tussle, and I'm glad to have fought beside you."
Yeah, but he doesn't even have his armor on right now, so he's just in his freaking normal clothing.
Yep.
And he, like, if you look at him, he's like got bloodshot eyes and everything from staying up all night. So he turns around and you could just see it all over his face that he's tied.
All right. With that, Davos says, "Gods, man, you look like shit. Surely that couldn't have been your first scrap."
Please leave me right now.
Okay. Seems odd. Quite chatty yesterday, but yeah, you've earned your place. Not a problem. And yeah, so he walks off and heads downstairs. And yeah, so Thaevan, you wake up. What do you do?
Are those apples that were fetched for Vonnir and the mug of ale still there?
Yes, so the mug of ale is still there. It's kind of slid around the table a fair bit. It's kind of over here. It's slid around the table a fair bit and a little bit sloshed out, but for the most part it's all still there. The apples, however, are rolling around on the floor.
Alright, I retrieve an apple from the floor and the mug of ale. I head up onto the deck, sipping on the ale and munching on the apple.
Alright, so as you come upstairs, Davos spots you, and he's got his mouth wrapped around what looks like a pretty stale knob of bread, and he pipes up and says, "Your dwarf friend didn't get much sleep last night, by the looks of him. It's on there."
It happens.
Yeah, well, we all have
I
sleepless
can't speak
nights.
for him.
Wow. He's in a bit of a mood, so...
Alright, well, I just assume if he wants to talk to me, he will. Otherwise, I'll just... Yeah.
Well, looking out over the horizon, it should be pretty clear sailing, but I don't know, maybe about midday, possibly mid-afternoon. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a squall come through. And,
What, sorry?
a squall. Yeah, well, you wouldn't know, I suppose. It's your first time on a ship?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit of a storm, so we'll probably need some hands to help get the ship through it.
Right. In that case, have you perhaps got a nip of something stronger than this? I say, holding up the mug of ale.
He, while you're still holding the mug of ale out, he reaches into his vest pocket and pulls out a small flask and just undoes the cap with just his thumb and pours a nip into the mug of ale and then does the cap back up with his thumb. It looks like it's the move that a move that he's done hundreds of times. He's executed it with perfect precision, and just gives you a wink and claps you on the shoulder, and then goes back to stuffing his face with the knob of bread.
I kind of just nod, hold up my mug in a cheers position, and then go back to consuming it as I head on up to the deck.
All right. So so as you get up, you notice that the sailors that are up here are they're looking pretty tired. They've had the night shift, and they haven't been relieved yet. So, but yeah, so what do you do?
I climb up to join. Well, I've finished my mug of ale and my apple.
Yep.
And then I climb up to the top of the crow's nest. Kind of just see what I can see.
Alright, yeah, so the halfling that is currently on the top of the halfling sailor that's up in the crow's nest hears you coming, and without looking at you goes, "Morning, lad. It's been a pretty easy night. Bit tired though. Are you coming to relieve me?"
Well, I'm not under any official orders. I kind of just wanted to have a look-see, yeah, you know?
"Ah, it's good enough for me." And just winks at you and then starts climbing down.
Okay. Do I see anything?
Roll a perception check.
Closed my sheet instead of hiding it. Hang on.
Alright, so off in the distance, sort of over this direction, you can see a couple of small islands. Yeah, they probably couldn't be more than a couple of kilometers in diameter. One of them's fairly flat. The other one's got a pretty high sort of peak on it. There's a bit of cloud sort of around the top, and trees along the sides of the mountain. But other than that, that seems pretty straightforward. You notice that there are a pod of dolphins sort of out in that direction that are playing in amongst the water, leaping out, and there's one that does a rather lazy sort of large leap out of the water and sort of comes in fairly ungracefully and makes a pretty big splash. So for that, that's pretty clear.
Alright, well, I guess I kind of stay up here and just keep a lookout until the guy who was meant to relieve the first guy shows up.
Alright, so, about 5 minutes later, you see the captain come out onto the deck. And he sees you out there and he goes, "Wait, where's Dariah?"
Is he the guy on the night shift or the one that's supposed to relieve the night shift?
Looks like you got roped in. Fair enough. Well, the relief will be in soon. When he comes along, I'd like to speak with you both in my chambers, if you don't mind.
I'll see you then, I guess.
He looks over at Vonnir and says, "Don't worry, lad. You get used to it." And he turns back in and goes back into his quarters. About 20 minutes later, the shift change comes around. And a pretty spry female elf nimbly climbs up and looks at you and says, "Yep, figured as much. Off you go. I got the shift."
I'm guessing the other guy wasn't meant to leave.
Nope. He'll be lucky if he doesn't get the lash. But Captain's got a bit of a soft spot for him. Don't know why. Gets away with a lot.
If it was up to me, he'd get the lash.
Now, time will tell. Captain likes to save that sort of stuff until we return to dock. So, we'll see what happens. Alright. So, do you climb down, or what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I climbed down.
Alright. What about you, Vonnir? What are you up to?
Still absorbing.
Still absorbing. Okay.
Well, if that's the case, I kind of grab him by the... How long are your sleeves, Vonnir? You wearing long sleeves, short sleeves?
Long sleeve, I guess.
Alright, I grab him by the cuff of his sleeve and kind of drag him along to the captain's quarters. Do I know where they are, or do I need to ask directions? That's the question.
Well, you saw the captain come from here, from the doors that you can see underneath the helm.
Well, if that's the case, they kind of drag Vonnir in that general direction.
All right. I'll get you both in a handy dandy spot, and I'll reveal some stuff. Alright, so yeah, you walk through the doors, and they're large, rather ornate, gold and red doors with some nice stained oak trim. And you find yourself in a small room with a very large rug that takes up the majority of it, and yeah, there's 3 doors. It kind of doesn't really take a genius to work out which direction the captain's quarters are probably going to be, seeing as directly in front of you are another set of ornately presented red and gold doors, and off to either side is a single door, much less ornate, mostly browns with a little bit of gold or brass trim.
I kind of knock on the door, still kind of holding Vonnir by the cuff of his arm in case he decides to move back.
Okay. So, yeah, you knock on the door and the captain says, "Come on in, come on in." You just go in.
Well, yep.
Okay. Let me just feel the area. Okay. So yeah, you both move on in, and just as you start moving in, Davos walks in behind you guys and says, "Ah, good timing. Yeah, I guess we better all sit down and have a chat." And he walks in just behind you guys, and the captain pipes up and says, "Well, there are some things you need to know about Redwater when we get there. For the most part, I think you guys will do fine. I've already mentioned some of the things, but a little bit of it you should kind of get your head around. So, first up, the captains. They're the top dogs. They're basically the ones that cleaned out the area when they first come up the stairs. They're kind of like the government. They're also kind of like a bit of a gang, I guess. They effectively own everything, and people rent it from them. That's kind of how it works. You'd think that they're all a well organized and knitted together group, but for the most part, most of them have got their own agendas. Be careful of some of them.
You don't seem at all enthralled by these captains, yet you're a member of them yourself.
Yes, well, it's part and parcel of life here. I knew to get what I wanted, I'd have to join them. Doesn't necessarily make me happy about it. Us two, Davos and I, we're both pretty much in the same sort of boat. It's a means to an end, but nothing that we're overly happy about. You two, you'd be what everyone calls stairwalkers. As I mentioned, you make sure you head out to the Hazy Purple Tavern. You'll get yourself a free drink. It's kind of, as I said, customary for Old Salty to shout everyone a drink when they first come up the stairs into this place. Next on the list is the stoopbacks. You can pretty much think of the stoopbacks as those that have given up trying to find their way up the stairs for whatever reason. They've all got their different reasons. Yeah, they've pretty much given up on it, but I think if it was made common knowledge on where it is, a lot of them would take up walking stairs again. Yeah, there's a lot of distrust from them with the captains. Can't really blame them. But last on the list are the RAF. Now the RAF, yeah, don't waste your time with them. No one else really does. It's
And where are they from?
well, the RAF, they hang out in the slums. They're honestly just the deadbeats that have given up. Some of them have gotten bad luck. Some of them have just got nothing to live for. Most of them don't last long. A few of them thrive. I don't understand how they thrive, but they thrive in that sort of environment. I'd watch your purse strings around them. Yeah, so they're the major, I guess you'd call castes or castes of Redwater. Pay the captain's respect, you get by fine, for the most part. You won't get very far without gems. It's the meat and bread of everything around there. Yeah. They're the important parts. Now, I've seen how you handled yourselves with those pirates. The quartermaster's the one you want to speak to if you want to know how to get back downstairs. But seeing as you two come upstairs on the ship, I doubt that you'll be able to head downstairs from this level. How many levels did you say that you lot had walked up?
4 or 5, give or take a few.
Davos at that nods and says, I remember 4 or 5. For me, this is my 32nd level.
So you've been travelling on a fair while then?
Yes, well, everyone stops when they hit this level. Don't know where the stairs are. Don't have the gems to pay.
Did you ever come across the fairies with their children?
The fairies with the children. No, I can't say that I have. I had this one level that was a very interesting experience. And he starts telling you about coming out into a forest made of hypercolors. Like, it was all, everything was overly vibrant. And the very first person he saw happened to be a woman that walked out of the water completely nude, and he starts getting quite lewd about it all, but that's when the captain pipes up and he kind of reins himself in a bit. That's when, Captain Soyan, he says, "This is my 63rd level. As for the vision that I believe you, Vonnir, saw last night, I've had 6.
Fuck.
And
Be dead.
at that, Davos looks over and nods, kind of understanding, or at least seeming to understand why Vonnir was so unresponsive and unwilling to talk. And he said, I've had 14.
Fuck.
Now, the captain pipes up and says, yes, but how many of them were violent and terrible? Davos nods and says, the first 3 were pretty bad. After that, most of them were snippets of a life I don't remember, and the occasional conflict and bit of anguish, but for the most part, I don't know. They've been mostly okay to me. Many haven't been quite so kind. Captain pipes up and says, yeah, about half of mine have been in poor taste.
Did either of you witness something happen to your families?
Captain Soyan shakes his head. He's like, mine wasn't so much about my family, though I have seen what I assume to be my family in many of them, but they were never really the focus. Davos says, I don't seem to have any family from mine. I think both kind of look to Vonnir, you know, taking note that he is quite silent, but you know, trying to appear friendly.
Yeah, Vonnir doesn't give two shits.
After
I remember that mode.
after a couple of moments, Captain Soyan pipes up and says, well, Davos and I, as I mentioned before, we are quite different compared to a lot of the captains, and you know, we've grown a good friendship between the two of us, so we don't really hide anything between ourselves. It's generally considered pretty poor taste to ask people about what they see and that sort of thing, but most people don't go through what you two have gone through just in the first few hours upon entering this level. And to you, Vonnir, I am deeply sorry that I'm guessing this was your first vision. And I'm guessing it was not something that you wish to talk about. And I understand. Just remember that many people have their visions not be something they want to talk about. But aside from that, I think it's time we go out and check the rigs, make sure that everything is good and sound. Pretty sure there's going to be a squall coming.
At that, I kind of go looking for the sailor that had previously given me some of the contents of his flask.
That was First Mate Davos.
Oh, okay, yeah. I ask, any more of that liquid courage?
Oh, friend, you have more of that liquid courage and you'll be thrown up before the squall even comes. Besides, I'm running low.
Fair enough.
But, come on. Let's show you the ropes. And Captain looks over at Vonnir and says, I'm sorry you had your vision, but we have lost some sailors here, and I think we're going to need your help.
Okay, well, you're fucked! Vonnir just looks at him and then just looks away and starts walking off. Doesn't even say a thing.
Okay. So, yeah, so Davos comes out and he seems quite happy to laugh and joke with Thaevan if Thaevan will partake.
Sure. I'm a little bit cranky that he doesn't want to give me any more liquid courage. But, you know.
So he looks at you and he says, "What do you get when you cross a joke with a rhetorical question?" And then just looks at you for a moment, and then keeps walking. And yeah, so he leads you both out, and the captain comes out as well. He goes up and mans the helm. The first mate comes out and starts pointing out all of the different ropes that you need to know for being able to rig the ship, and starts basically giving you a bit of a lesson on how to crew a ship. So what I'll get you both to do is roll a intelligence check for me.
I mean, it's going in and out of one easy and out the other.
Okay, so you're not paying any attention to any of it?
Well, put an advantage at it anyways. There you go.
Oh, wow!
Really not paying attention.
You rolled with disadvantage for not really paying attention, and you rolled 2 natural ones. Okay, fair enough. It most definitely is going in one ear and out the other, and then dropping into the ocean and disappearing forever. Thaevan, on the other hand, you're actually taking it up pretty quick.
I look over at first mate, and I just look at him and I say, "What does a pirate say when he turns 80?"
Arr, matey.
Yep.
Davos nods and he goes, "That's one of my favorites." He seems quite happy and has a big grin on his face. And so having seen that Vonnir is really not taking anything in, he kind of just nods and sort of accepts that, and runs you through all the sails and the various bits of rigging that you need to know, and starts giving you some pretty good tips on how to position yourself while the ship's moving and rolling through a storm. He also gives you like it would be an old wives' tale, but it seems to work for him. But he basically gives you a little tip on how to not feel so seasick, and he's basically like teaching you how to kind of move with the ship, and sway and move and anticipate what the ship's going to do. So it reduces the amount that your inner ear starts swimming around, sort of thing. Hi there, Yamakaze.
You sure you just don't have one more nip of that liquid courage before the storm hits?
He winks and just hands you the flask. He goes, whatever. I can pick up some more.
Alright, I'll take about 1.5 nips and hand it back to him.
And he basically just like turns the flask upside down, and like a single drop falls out. He goes, "Oh well, that's alright." And he just tucks the flask away into his vest pocket. You did notice that the flask is quite a nice looking flask. Silver, and it's got the motif of kind of looks like a giant octopus. kind of like spreading out across some rocks, stamped into the side of the flask. Yeah, it's quite a nice looking flask. But yeah, so so you start looking out, and Vonnir, even through your malaise, you definitely notice that there is a storm coming through. It's starting to get towards mid-afternoon, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And yeah, the I don't have any kind of like stormy sea music, unfortunately, but yeah, the sea is starting to swell and move around and roil a bit. At this, a bunch more of the sailors come rushing up on deck. It seems that they know what's going on and are pretty much ready to go for it. What I'll get you both to do is roll a dexterity check. Thaevan, you get it with advantage. And this is basically just to see how well you'll be able to move around the ship while the ship's bucking and carrying on. Okay, so it seems like Vonnir's stocky shortness is kind of doing him well. It seems to be less affected than you really think, but you, Thaevan, on the other hand, you've taken to the lessons.
I rolled a 16.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. You, Thaevan, have taken to it quite well, and you are like moving along with absolute grace. It's a couple of the sailors are looking at you like, how the hell is he able to do that after a few hours on the ship? And we're kind of like staggering around like drunken pirates.
I blame the liquid courage.
So the captain yells out and he says, "Wave Creston, coming from the port side." And with that, Davos yells out and he goes, "Stay the main sheet." So I'll get you, Thaevan, to roll a strength check to see if you can, along with a bunch of sailors, to see if you guys are all able to pull the main sheet in.
Yeah, I did it. Strength, did you say?
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay, so you guys are actually struggling with it. It's really starting to buffet. The wind's picking up quite a lot. The main sheet looks a little bit precarious, and the captain yells out and he goes, "Stay that main sheet before she rips." The sailors are all sort of like sweating and heaving, and they're trying to get a hold of it and pull it in. But even with all of them helping and you as well, Thaevan, you're not actually able to pull the main sheet in. What are you doing, Vonnir?
He's still kinda just catatonic. He's not really paying attention to his surroundings, doing what he's been told, essentially.
So are you doing what you've been told, or are you just...
Yeah, but he's doing it half-assed, you know?
Okay, so roll a strength check with disadvantage.
Hopefully he can make the difference.
Okay, yeah, so with Vonnir's help, you've managed to stay the main sheet, but only just. It was actually looking pretty rough. The sides of the sail are starting to fray and tear a little bit. But you do manage to get it away without it ripping and becoming unusable. And just as you guys manage to get that... Actually, you know what? The waves and everything else just quite aren't doing enough for this. Let's add this in. Okay, yeah, so he's just managed to do that. Just as a wave crests straight over the port side, I'll get you both to roll a what would that be? Roll a athletics check to see how well you can resist the water buffeting you both.
Oh.
Okay, so, yeah, the water slams in, and Vonnir and two of the sailors all get, like, buffeted across and slam into the side rail. I'll get you, Vonnir, to just give me a D20.
The 3 ones I've rolled within like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so you and one of the other sailors get knocked clean overboard. And with that, Captain Davos yells out and he goes, "Man overboard! Man overboard!" What are you doing, Thaevan?
Doing what I can to retrieve him.
Okay. So there are ropes around. Many of them are pegged and ready to go. Some of them are loose. There is a net that you can see off to one side that's bound up and ready to be thrown.
I'll grab the net and throw that.
You're gonna throw the net. So
Are any of the sailors helping me?
yeah, so they can help you, but the net on its own is not attached to a rope or anything at this particular point.
Okay, so I need to tie it to a rope.
Yeah. So just roll me a dex check to see how well you can tie the knot. Okay.
Even with my +4, that really sucked.
Yeah. I was gonna say with advantage because Davos would help you out, but even that's still pretty ordinary. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. So you guys get together and race over and throw the net over the side, and you can see that the ship is drifting away from Vonnir and the other sailor fairly quickly. Roll a just give me a athletics check with advantage. Dear. Okay. What are you doing, Vonnir? And having hit the water.
I mean, what can I do?
Well, you're not in
swim
armor,
to the
thankfully.
net.
You did say that you weren't in armor.
To the net.
So yeah, you can see the net having been thrown out, and yeah, are you gonna try and swim to it or?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay, roll a athletics check. See how well you can swim to it.
I did. Yay!
Oh shit.
Shit.
Okay.
I mean, you're making us do a whole bunch of checks and you give me exhaustion. Like, what do you think was gonna happen?
That is true. Yeah. So with that, Davos is looking a little bit worried, and he runs on over and asks one of the sailors to tie him off. So let's see how well a sailor can tie him off.
Oh no. Oh goodness.
Okay, so he gets tied off, and without even checking it, he just runs out and then dives over the side of the ship. Okay, so he dives over, and as he's diving down towards the water, he he's keeping an eye out, trying to see for which one's closer, and decides that Vonnir is the closest one. So he's going to try and retrieve you. He grabs a hold of you, but because you're such a stocky dwarf, you can't get a really good grip. Roll me a strength check. This is just a straight roll because he's assisting. Okay, so you grab a hold, and the sailors are all like keeping an eye out, and seeing that they've got a hold of you, starts hauling you all up. But with the pressure of the waves and the water and the ship rolling around and everything else, they're having a little bit of a hard time. Do you want to give them a hand, Thaevan?
Yes.
Okay, so just roll a athletics check. And we'll see how this goes.
We've already established I'm not very good though.
Dude, your dice need to die.
Okay.
New dice. DM, new dice.
Alright, so I accidentally rolled one too many, but that's okay. Because even though you're, like, struggling to even keep a hold of the rope, it seems like your presence there and the fact that you're trying to help has spurred on the sailors, and they, between the four of you, you manage to pull them back up. Davos is looking out, and he says, "Oh no, it was Sylvan. Sylvan's the one that's missing. Can anyone got eyes on him?" Yeah, so they pull you up, and you kind of like a bit coughing and spluttering, Vonnir. What are you doing at this moment?
Contemplating if I should have just drowned there.
I'm giving him thuds on the back to try and help him cough up whatever's in his lungs.
Okay. So you're just contemplating why you didn't bother to drown. Okay.
While I'm thudding you on the back.
Yeah. It's like, why did I drown? Cough.
Okay, so so neither of you are looking out over the edge. So okay, that's no worries. Let's see if any of the sailors can spot poor Sylvan.
Why would I care about someone other than Vonnir and Thaevan? Like, honestly.
Aw, that's cute. Yeah, so so one of them points him out, and he's drifted a fair way back. Sort of like back here somewhere. And Davos yells out, and he says, he's back there, he's back there! Quick! Drop a boat! So yeah, one of the sailors, the sailor that's over here, sort of runs on over and starts loosening the rope. He says, "I'm gonna need some help." Do you want to get involved, Thaevan, or are you gonna leave this one alone?
You good there, Vonnir?
Fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll join in.
Alright, so roll a dex check, see how well you can get the boat untied and be able to jump into the thing.
Oh, finally. Oh,
Okay.
finally.
So yeah, between the two of you, you both managed to untie the boat and then jump into it. Remarkably, even sort of pace. You both jump in like as if you know what you're doing, basically.
Which is fucking weird because this is the first time Thaevan's on a boat.
Yeah, so
liquid courage was worth it.
so you just jump in, and the sailor takes the lead and sets the pace and starts lowering the rope, and you assist and lower the rope as well. And yeah, so the boat hits the water, and the water is really rough. Thankfully, because it is a small boat, you don't get the sensation of being like sick. It seems like the larger boats hit that frequency a lot easier. But yeah, so you both end up in the water, like the boat in the water, and starts loosening back, and he pulls out the oars to try and steer, and he yells at you. He says, keep an eye and see if you can grab him. So roll a perception check to see if you can spot poor Sylvan, who's drifting away.
He's an NPC, who cares?
And yeah, you're looking around and you're really struggling to see him. You're not having any real luck. What do you say?
I can't see him. I don't have eyes. I don't have him.
I'm trying not to laugh because that's funny. But yeah, so he's you both sort of like paddle around, and Captain sort of has yelled out, and they've dropped anchor, which is probably a very dangerous thing to do in the middle of a storm. But yeah, so the ship's not drifting any further away. But yeah, you guys seem to have lost him. I don't know where he's at. And the other sailor.
I start shouting out his name.
Okay. Right. Let's see if he
Yells.
hears.
I'm repeating it over and over again. It's
yeah.
not just one.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So, he roll me another perception check.
Yeah. This one better be better. Seriously, even with a +5. What is
Wow.
the +5 even worth? Ah.
5. So, yeah. So you're looking out. You get a glimpse of a hand, sort of up in the air. It looks like you've spotted Silda. He's looking like he's in trouble.
That way. First
Alright.
taste.
So you both, with the careful manipulation of the oars, you end up getting over there, and I'll say that you're able to draw him aboard, and yeah, so he's not drowning anymore. Generally considered a good thing. And yeah,
Now
so
we have to get back to the ship. Now that's going to be the hard part.
yeah, so there's you look after you've got him on board. He's taken on a bit of water, and he's looking pretty rough. Do you want to try and help him out with that, or is he going to suck it up and deal with it?
I feel like we need to get back to the ship sooner rather than later, so I'm helping with the rowing.
Okay, all right. Well, looking under the seat, you can you find a second set of oars. So roll me a athletics check to see how well you can get back to the ship. Okay. So the tide and the current and the waves are debilitatingly strong, and you're finding that you're drifting further away from the ship. You kind of hear, like, way off in the distance, you hear Davos yell out. He says, "Row, you mad dogs, row!" And at this point, like, while you're rowing, you notice that there's a rope dangling from the front of the ship, from the front of your boat, front of your lifeboat.
Is it attached to the ship?
Are you looking to see if it's attached to the ship?
Yeah.
Roll a perception check.
Tentacle of a squid or something.
Okay.
Much better.
So looking along, you can see that the rope isn't attached to the ship, but the end of it is still looped over one of the stays that the lifeboat gets lowered from, and you realize that the one that you lowered, you untied the wrong knot and lowered it the reverse way around, which in this case is actually a little bit fortuitous. It means that there is a rope still on the ship, but it's not attached to anything.
So I try and point it out, call out, pull the rope! Pull the rope!
Alright, let's see if Davos hears you.
Oh, come on, surely someone does, even if it's not him.
Alright, yeah, so Davos hears you quite clearly, and he looks up and sees the rope, and the rope is like precarious, like it's rapidly unreeling and about to go flying over. And he runs over and dives for it. Let's see if Davos can catch the thing before it disappears off the side of the ship. Okay, so Davos dives for it, but misses. The rope does let go over to the side, and seeing that, the other sailor looks at you and says, "Well, it was a good try, I guess." Actually, seeing this, Davos gets up and are you paying any attention to Davos at all, Vonnir?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you notice that that Davos waves his hand over his feet, and his feet sort of like shimmer, and then Davos jumps straight over the side of the ship. He's still got the rope attached to him from earlier on, but yeah, he jumps clean over the side of the ship and comes flying down towards the water. And you see him land on the water in probably the most ridiculous pose possible. He kind of has like an arm out, like kind of like reaching out, and his other arm sort of on his hip, kind of like a very weird sort of a teapot sort of stance. And then crouches down and then throws that outstretched arm out onto the surface of the water. And he's standing on the water.
Not to break it to you, but I mean, if he jumped off the ship, I mean, would I be even able to see him?
Were you watching him jump off the ship?
I mean, if he jumped off the ship, I mean, he would have been out of my view. Once
You're
he
on the
landed.
edge. You're on the edge, though.
Yeah.
To the side. Watching him.
I guess if I'm close enough.
I'd say that you'd be able to see it. Like you'd be able to look over the rail and see it. But either way, Thaevan and the other sailor definitely see this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he lands on the water in like that really dumb kind of 3-point landing, and then stands up. And he kind of like as he stands up, he seems like he's hurt his knees, but he does stand up. And actually, I do need to roll something.
You're trying really hard to get us to succeed at this right now.
Okay, so the landing means that he takes 9 points of damage.
Ouch.
That's it.
Yeah, it's fairly low rolls, which is negligible considering that he got a full night's rest anyway. But yeah, so he lands and yeah, he starts running across the surface of the water, and he's going to try and dive for the rope again. And he manages to grab a hold of the rope. So we have this really awkward situation now where Davos is currently tied off to the ship with a rope around his waist, and he's holding on to a rope that is tied off to the front of your boat.
Pull him up!
So you're yelling out to the sailors?
Yep.
Okay. Let's first see if the sailors hear what you're saying. Which they do, and immediately, like, they start attempting to pull.
As they start pulling, I'll cast Bless on them.
Okay. So they've got advantage. Is that it?
No,
that's
plus D4.
plus a D4. Okay.
On all three of them, or?
Yeah, I'm throwing the sailors, but I'm just concentrating on the spell.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, but it's attack rolls or saving throws.
So it is.
Make it a strength save. No, I'm kidding. I shouldn't have pointed it out.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with honest gameplay. So it's not looking good. It seems like these sailors are pretty stunned. Like, one of them rolled a 1, one of them rolled a 9, and one of them rolled a 13.
Vonnir, help them!
I am helping, technically.
No, because it's not a saving throw or an attack roll, so their d4s weren't added.
What's a check? It's a flat strength check.
Yeah.
Let it be athletics.
Well, when it comes to
Still wouldn't get
NPCs, it's I don't have a athletics button there for it. So I'm just rolling strength, and it wouldn't matter in it because it's not a saving throw or an attack roll.
Sadly.
Well, mine has disadvantage, so...
Still more than what they've got.
Yeah, so
Can you-
the way most of these have been working is it's been accumulative.
Alright, then I would have cast it less if it was just if I knew it would work or not.
Okay, yep. So you didn't cast Bless, that's fine.
And then I just would go grab the rope. I mean,
All right. Make your athletics roll.
that should be a disadvantage. Why is it an advantage? Just do another one.
Yeah, that's okay.
Ooh.
Okay, I actually need to do math because this is close. It's 20, 22, 23. Oh, just enough. The DC was 20. Sorry, 30. So with the athletics of 7, plus a 1, plus a 13, plus a 9, it meets the DC. So you guys start pulling, and it's pulling on Davidos, and he's being pulled back, and he's holding on to the rope, and make sure that he can still hold on to the thing.
Please.
Oh. And it's starting to slip loose. He hasn't let go of it, but the amount of pull and the weight of the weight of the boat and the 3 people that are in it, not enough. So yeah, what are you doing?
Me?
Yes.
I'm trying to row to kind of help still, but...
Okay, so you're trying to row. That's when I actually need to consider the physics of this. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work. Okay. Alright, yeah, so, well, okay, roll me a athletics check to see if you can redouble your efforts. Okay. You you actually did just make the DC on that one. DC was 25. The sailor rolled a 5. So yeah, you start redoubling your efforts and paddling and yeah, you're starting to actually creep a little bit closer towards the ship. Let me have a quick look at this. Okay. Yeah, okay. No worries. So, yeah, seeing this, the first mate, Davos, is going to have another go at trying to get a good grip. He's got a better grip than the last one, but it's still not great. So, he seems to be just guiding you guys in. But what I'll say with those rolls is, yeah, you're managing to pull it in, and considering the ship is does have the anchor down, which I need to actually make a roll for that.
Oh, please. I will start burning dice if I need to.
Okay, yeah, so the anchor, the chain and the anchor do hold, but the wood around the anchor is, where it mounts, is starting to splinter. It's looking like the strain is quite a fair bit on the ship. Yeah, so, but what I'll say is, yeah, you guys managed to paddle it over until it's sort of alongside the ship, and Davos is being pulled up, and he's still holding onto the rope. He can't pull on the rope to pull you guys in, but gets it close enough that the other sailors are all able to grab a hold of it, and then other ropes get thrown down to tie off to the boat, and between all of you, you manage to pull the boat back up, and all three of you back up on the deck of the ship. Yeah, it's it was a pretty close call, but yeah. And for expediency's sake, I'm going to say that you all manage after that to kind of stay pretty safe and navigate the ship through, and yeah, the ship, yeah, looking out, you see that the dock of Redwater off in the distance as the sun is starting to sink. Yeah, you end up pulling into dock, and the captain pipes up and says, "Well, if it wasn't for you, Thaevan, we would have lost another man. I wish I had more that I could give you, but all I can give you is 20 green gems and 20 blue gems. I'll give the same to you, Vonnir. I hope it does you well. But yeah, we'll be docking very, very shortly."
Well,
Can we also have a quick 5-minute?
Yeah, no worries. We don't have very long left to go. It's probably only maybe about another 10 minutes worth of content if it can wait, but if it can't, no worries, we can take a break.
I mean, if it's only 10 minutes, then
Yeah. So yeah, they managed to navigate the ship in, and Doc and Davos says, "You two better get off the ship a little bit on the sly." And he takes you over to the side and throws down a rope ladder. it goes down near the Outrunner, and you notice down near the dock that because it's a deep water dock. You notice that there's a little dinghy sort of sitting there, and he silently sort of points you in the direction of where you should go, and tells you once again that to go and find the Hazy Purple Tavern, and gives you a rough idea on where it is. It's pretty close to the center of town. Yeah, so guessing you guys jump in the dinghy, or what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I would. Are you hopping in, Vonnir?
I'm guessing we didn't get a night's sleep as well.
Yeah, no. So that was all the one day. So that was the ship's just pulling in, and it's just starting to go night.
Okay. Nah, I mean, no, funny, I guess, I mean, like, well, not reluctantly, but I mean, just slowly.
Yep. Okay. So,
As we're going, I kind of look over and say, I'm guessing stowaways aren't welcome.
the Davos sort of more points out, it kind of like mimes. Actually, you know what? Roll a roll a roll an intelligence check, and I'm gonna match it against his, I guess, a charisma check.
I have low intelligence.
That's okay.
Oh, phew.
All right. Yeah. So so basically the way I was doing this roll is you had to get higher than whatever his failing is. So he rolled a 6 and you rolled a 19. So together, yeah, like you beat that. That's no worries. He mimes out in possibly the worst way you've ever seen of a tricone hat, and basically mimes out that the captains tend to tax those that arrive via a ship, and he's doing this so that you two can get away from that without having to, suffer from everything. Basically, is a thank you for everything that you two had done on the ship. But yeah, so you, Thaevan,
Just not an acknowledgement. An acknowledgement.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so you guys row on off, and you find a place to pull on up, and you start heading in the direction that he kind of described, and yeah, you can hear the sounds of like a sea shanty off in the distance, not too far away, and like some very very boisterous laughing and singing and everything else, and you get the feeling that you're heading in the right direction. And that is where I think we'll leave it.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully we get more players next time.
Yeah. Well, this was just to catch us up to where hopefully everyone else will end up be meeting up. So, yeah, we will be continuing this tale on Friday at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. I will be rerunning this as a scheduled stream beforehand. So this will finish just before the stream goes live, and yeah, I hope to see you all then. And until then, I hope you all have fun, and good luck with everything.